The Better Futures Local Solutions Initiative is a federal government initiative bringing a community action leader and a government action leader and a local governance group to come together and to look at building collaboration in the community, but also distributing some local solutions funds. It's about working with the community and for the community to improve the opportunities for vulnerable individuals and families.
I think we recognise as a community that we're at a challenging place in our history. People were able to rely on jobs for a long time in manufacturing. While that was great, it also led to relatively low aspiration and low educational outcomes, and jobs were easy to come by. Now that's not the case anymore.
What I saw when I was doing the initial role was a lot of organisations working by themselves, really focused on what they were doing in their own organisation, almost oblivious to what was happening in other organisations, but they were doing similar sort of things, so we were able to bring them together.
It's where the community has had the opportunity to identify its priorities and then to work in a really collaborative way to deliver them.
Where we were able to identify those organisations that had like-minded goals that they wanted to achieve, and we were able to bring them together in a room and then just get them to discuss it, whether they were agreeable to come together and work together.
So what that's meant is that funding, I think, has gone further, that there's been more buy-in at a local level, there's been more oversight, and as a result, I think there've been stronger deliverables and outcomes.
All the organisations wanted to work in a partnership, so that was really encouraging. And in some cases, they actually said that they didn't understand why they hadn't done it before.
The barriers that people experience at the moment are multifaceted and very complex. There is not one solution for one particular person. But efficiency for governments can be made by working with community together and all levels of governments.
My name's Bron Gregg. I'm the Horizons Coordinator at Berry Strait and I work here in Shepparton.
The program that I'm involved in is the KEEP program, is the Koori Education Employment Program.
Food for Thought was a project that started in 2012. Julie Howell identified the need to deliver an evening meal.
I'm Amy Minger. I'm the Project Officer at the Work and Learning Centre.
I'm Jo Barrett. We work in a program called Live, Learn, Work.
My name is Rashidi Sumaili. I work at Gal Bonimari Local Learning Employment Network as a project officer. In that organization, I'm coordinating the Building New Generation Youth Leadership Program.
Chris Hasem, I'm the manager of the Ethnic Council of Shepparton, and we were funded through this program to provide cultural awareness training for employers across the Goulburn Valley.
There were lots of children at the centre who were going home and the only meal they were receiving was delivered across the long day. The design for the project was that an evening meal would be delivered one night a week. The parents are invited in and the parents that participate also are provided with a meal and they can talk with the educators.
The premise behind our project was that young people, and this is aged between say 16 and 30, who would have arrived in this country as a teenager were disengaged from both education and employment. And we were looking at the strategies to work out ways helping get those people back and engaged. They were somewhat disillusioned with the training. It was a continuous cycle of training, no employment at the end of it. And the communities we're talking about here in Shepparton, Afghan, Congolese, Iraqi and Sudanese.
The cohort we deal with are the ones who are long-term unemployed, probably some sort of substance abuse, criminal history or at risk, and low education. They're in a situation where no one will employ them. They're basically unemployable, and we start them on low-level, low-skill work and try and build their capacity to be working in high areas. So as they build their skills, we give them more responsibility, less supervision. So at the end of the program, we're hoping that they'll be able to work 5 days a week and work out anywhere in society.
The program's called the New Horizons program. It works with young parents and from the age of 14 to 25 in looking at their education, training, career goals, career pathways, that type of stuff. The referrals come through to me. I then sit with the young person who's been referred, and we go through the process of what we can do and how we can go about doing that, supporting that young parent in regards to their career goals.
The program is helping young people to get a job. This is number one. Number two is about helping young people to get leadership skill, but also it's about helping them to understand the culture and make sure that they build network which can help them in their futures.
I do a lot of outreach work, so actually going into people's homes and assisting with family support. We do quite a few partnership programs with surrounding agencies as well.
We have a community kitchen. We also have a lot of other programs like women's program, a men's program, different courses as well.
Well, we knew that the centre was located in a vulnerable community. All the data tells us that, and we knew anecdotally from the educators that were in the centre. We've got a nice mix of children from both vulnerable groups and non-vulnerable groups, and we see that as that was a huge success for us for the project, because we also know that that's really critically important for children and families to have access to people from diverse groups in the community. And from what we understand about children's positive trajectory in life, we know that we have to assist parents to be able to help their children.
We started off with an assumption that young people would have career aspirations. In fact, a job, any job, was really what they were saying to us. Some very positive surprises, and that was the enthusiasm and willingness of the young people. One of the surprises was the constant channeling of these young people into another training program. And there's plenty of examples around the valley of where these schemes have been in place and there's no jobs at the end of it.
While they're not working, they've also got all these other issues that they deal with. So some will last 2 or 3 days and life will just get too hard for them. Others, there are amazing stories of guys who can't get out of bed at the start, who are now working full-time outside our program. So none of this happens without this program, because there's nothing else there for them. And you do get those cases where people will say to you, "Thank you very much for what you're doing. I was lost without you, and this has given me a real opportunity for not only myself but for my kids as well." And they're really special moments when that happens.
My young parents that I've been working with, they really have been at times quite vulnerable, and you just, because they're kids and they're kids with kids, being a part of that and watching them grow and watching them make those decisions that's going to empower them, and seeing the excitement of the achievement of what they've done is actually really nice. You get a nice warm fuzzy feeling from it, yeah.
The program has been able to engage the community to understand the importance, of being together, how people can collaborate and build a partnership, share idea, building collaboration, and also working together as a team. Young people came with a new idea. For example, one of them has been able to set up a foundation which will be able to help people around the world, and also another young people has been selected to be the UNICEF Youth Ambassador.
They come and, they're not confident, they're shy, and from when, they've started doing dishes and they're scared to go out the front and serve someone, then each week they become more confident, and you just see the change in them. And I've even had them say to me, I never would have thought that I would be able to wait on tables. And yeah, that's really exciting.
There's lots of non-vocational barriers that we come across, and I usually attempt to meet immediate needs initially, and build a relationship with them so that we get to some core issues. And obviously my final goal is to try and get them into a position where they feel like they might be job ready. Often they've said, I've never actually realised that none of this was actually my fault. It's not all about what did happen, it's all about leaving that behind.
Oh, look, I think the relationships you build through a project like this, they're the critical factors around success.
Coming to a conclusion of a similar goal is probably the most important thing to start with. Respecting that different agencies have different philosophies, and just working amongst, manoeuvring amongst that and navigating through that to come to that common goal, I think is the most important thing.
Being able to deliver a project with someone who's been a long-term partner with us with other programs was really beneficial.
No one service can deliver all the requirements for children and families. We have a worker come out to help broker relationships, especially with culturally and linguistically diverse communities. So we're starting to see some real capacity building coming out of the project as well. It's not just good start.
Prior to this project, there was a history of a relationship between the 4 partners. Once we started working out who did what, who's responsible for what, and had those open conversations, the project worked really well, and it's still going well. We couldn't do what we're doing without our partners. We certainly wouldn't have had the outreach as the Rumbalara Football Club and KLR.
You've got to have partnerships. If you don't have partnerships, you're working in isolation. And we have partnerships in everything we do in our life, in our work, our home, our family. There's partnerships everywhere, and those partnerships are important for the growth to be as great as what it can be.
The program has been able to engage the community to understand the importance, of being together. First of all, we build what we call the reference group. And the objective of the reference group is to share ideas, to work on common purpose. They understand where we are coming from, because everything we are doing, we are giving back to the community. Without partnership, sometimes it will be hard for us to achieve what we want to achieve.
We have partnered up with other family agencies and schools to help us identify what the needs are in the community, but also to work closely with them in trying to meet those needs in whatever way that might look.
And the other success factor, I think, in terms of the project has been the level of support from the community action leader and the government action leader. They've been fantastic resources through this project. A lot of advice, a lot of encouragement, and support's where you need it.
My hope for the future that we've learnt from the legacy of this program is the importance of breaking down some of those silos between the different community service sectors.
My wish for the future is that vulnerable children and families are regarded above politics and have access to all they need.
If you're serious about bridging the gap and making a difference to Aboriginal people's life, this is a good model.
Work with maybe more young people and empower them to become who they really want to be, not who they think they are because of their parents' lives and their parents' lives. Yeah.
So we are hoping this program will build the collaboration, will help them to become a leader in the future, and also we open opportunity for them in workplace.
The data that we've developed out of our particular project will be used as primary information source for other agencies.
But certainly the model of having education with work, paid work, meaningful work, not just training for the sake of training, but this has the opportunity to make a lot of difference.
It feels to me like it's a new approach to tackling generational unemployment.
And so my hope is that we see more of the people in our community who are well, engaged and able to work and be productive and get the maximum potential out of them, and for them to enjoy working and enjoy life.
But importantly, we hope that the participants of the projects have experienced some change through the projects, and that has empowered them to seek more opportunity and to see that they have a right to fully participate in our society.
To have the organisations and the community work as one.
We need to keep that momentum alive, and we're hoping the future, and we're resting on the local advisory group who will continue that for us.
And now we're just beginning to start to see the results of people working in collaboration and in partnerships.
I've been very proud to see the change in people, and we've been very fortunate that many young people have now moved through the transition into employment. So for them, they have a a more positive future for themselves and for their families.
For everyone to realise that they have the potential and they're only limited to their own imagination, and if they could actually truly believe that they can do what they dreamt that they could do when they were a child or an adolescent or as a young mum or a young dad, that they can actually do and be what they dreamed of.